think what most people don't realize is that all you need is like a handful of these customers who are going to be buying from you
Yep.
on a repeat basis. And that's enough to easily support yourself and perhaps build a multi-million dollar company. So that guy, he started out doing that. Welcome to the My Wife Quit Her Job podcast. Today we're going to be talking about selling the right products. And what's funny about this is that I run a class, and oftentimes when people come up to me and they're like, "Hey Steve, I saw this on TikTok, I want to sell it." And I'm always like, that's probably going to be a bad idea. And if you look around, actually, oftentimes it is the boring products. The ones that are never talked about are the ones that are silently making a ton of money.
You know who this topic makes me think of every single time?
Who?
Our friend Dean. Dean arrived at Seller Summit in
Oh, yes.
2016, very first year, with a dream. He did. He didn't have a product to sell. He came to the first Seller Summit. He was an older man. I don't know how old he was, but he showed up. He said, "I want to get into e-commerce." We were like, "Great." You know, we introduced him to a lot of people. He made some great connections. And the funnest thing about him is the next year he showed up at Seller Summit and he was a 6-figure seller in less than a year selling zip ties. Which
Yes.
I cannot think of. I think zip ties are fun, actually, but I cannot think of a more boring product as far as like sexiness than zip ties. And then I think by the next year at Seller Summit, he had, I think, left his day job. He had purchased a piece of property that he had always dreamed about.
That's correct.
Like he wanted like this family compound, which I think is so cool. So he had like been able to acquire this land all from zip tie. And I don't think he ever sold anything else. I think he only sold the zip ties, like different sizes and shapes.
He had a million of SKUs of zip ties.
Yes, because they come in all shapes and sizes. However, he is the person and I think about him. He's almost like my Roman Empire. I think about him all the time because I always think if I get back into e-commerce, what would I sell? And I don't want to sell zip ties, but I want to sell something like zip ties.
Yeah, and just to be clear, these weren't just like regular zip ties. They were like super heavy duty ones.
Yeah.
Of which actually you can't find at Home Depot. I was actually at Home Depot the other day for zip ties.
Yeah.
And they only sell like the kind of flimsy ones, and I wanted the heavy duty ones.
Yeah.
So.
So it's so funny because our friends Paul and Tiffany Ivanovsky, who sell clothing, which I never recommend.
Yes.
But we meet a lot of people who want to sell clothing because clothing's fun, right? Like and you see all these like boutique owners and they're doing all these fun things. And obviously Paul and Tiffany have a fantastic business, but it did not happen overnight. And we were talking one day, Paul and Tiffany and I, and Paul's like, "Would you think you'd ever get back into e-commerce?" And I said, it's definitely not off the table. And he said, what would you sell? Like, what's your dream thing to sell? And I said, doorknobs. And he's
really?
It was kind of off the cuff, right? And he's like, doorknobs? He's like, are you like into, because there are like a lot of variety of doorknobs. And I was like, no, I'm not like into doorknobs. I said, but when I think of a product that everybody has to buy, right? Like everybody has to have doorknobs, right? And they are on the exterior, the interior of your home, on every building, everything, right? Doorknobs are like a staple. And if you actually look at the doorknobs you buy today at Lowe's or Home Depot, they're garbage, right? Like they're very low quality. Stuff is plastic. It doesn't last. I said, I feel like doorknobs is an absolutely fantastic product, right? Because the margins have to be great on those. I haven't done like a ton of research, but it's a boring product that everybody has to use in their lifetime.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know anything about home improvement or doorknobs, but I know that there's like a ton of variety out there, right?
Yeah.
Every time I walk into Home Depot.
Yeah. Like you've got the levers, you've got the knobs, and you've got like one of my kids was tired of her sister stealing her stuff. So she got a thumbprint doorknob so she can only open it with her thumbprint. So yeah, like there's like lots of variety and things like that. But yeah, I think those types of products, everyone wants the fun, exciting, let's sell t-shirts, right? Like I know a lot of people want to sell t-shirts. Like looking at my friends that sell clothing, like that seems like an absolute nightmare. Right? Like,
yeah, we should probably do an episode on like the worst products to sell.
Yes.
Maybe at a later date.
Yeah.
And clothing would definitely be one of my number ones, but for some reason, everyone wants to do it when they come into my class.
Yeah.
And I don't think they think about the fact that you got to carry like a million SKUs,
Yes.
different sizes. You miss by like one size and then you're stuck with that inventory forever.
Yes. Oh, I don't want to
So,
get too deep into clothing, but the
yeah.
other thing about clothing that makes it stink, and we will do a whole episode on this, guys, is that you have to buy clothing when you buy it wholesale in packs. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know this, but like they sell it in packs, and each pack has like two small, two medium, two large. This, so you don't even really get to control how you buy. Like Paul and Tiffany joked that Ozempic's been the worst thing for their business because they used to their customer base used to be like large, extra large, and double X,
Mhm.
and everyone went on Ozempic, and now everybody's small, medium, and large, and they like a lot of boutique owners got stuck with like larger size inventory because people aren't buying it anymore. But
Yeah.
like, so you have to buy these packs where the wholesaler dictates the sizes you get. Tiffany cannot go and say, I need 50 pairs of size 0 jeans. She has to buy a pack of 2 zeros, 2 smalls, 3 it's like, anyway, it's a mess. So doorknobs are the way to go.
So I was researching boring products, and one that really caught my eye was senior aid products. And the only reason I
Yes.
was kind of looking at this is because, my mom's getting up there and she lives right down the street. She's in great health and everything.
Yeah.
But there are some things that she can't
Mm-hmm.
really do anymore, like lift, or she's not as flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found this site that I just kind of did some research. They do multi-millions,
Yeah.
but the site literally looks like it was designed in like the 90s. Horrible website, but I know they're doing well.
Yeah.
And you can't really find these products in regular stores.
Yeah.
We're talking about like these really, as an example, these really long shoehorns, so you don't have to bend down.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
they don't sell stuff like that, so
No.
that's like a boring product,
Yeah.
or set of products, I should say, like walkers and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. Although walkers are probably more common, but there's this whole niche because everyone's getting older for the
Mm-hmm.
baby boomer stage, and it's untapped.
Yeah, the one I always think about, because my dad, we got one for my dad as a joke one year, not as really as a joke, he used it all the time, he loved it, but the grabber.
Yes, the grabber.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
grabber. Like that's a little more popular, but it still fits into that like boring product. Like for me, like one of my kids got one like in like a detective kit one time, and I used to use that thing all the time to get stuff that fell behind the washer and dryer.
Ah,
Like get
okay,
the
yeah.
sock.
Yeah.
But you're right, like those types of products. I saw someone post on Facebook the other day about wanting to have a bar installed in their shower for their parent,
Yes.
right? But that bar is a product, right? Like that bar, like think about that. That's literally just a piece of metal that's bent onto it, right? Like
Yeah.
so the risk of it being defective, like the defectiveness comes in the installer, not the product itself because it's metal. All those types of products, like to me, those are just like the cash cows, right? And as especially with society, like in general, we're aging older. Like there's less
Yeah.
younger people, there's more older people. I feel like that market is just going to continue to grow.
And we're quickly creeping up on that market. Maybe not
Yes.
quite yet, but
Listen,
we're getting there.
buy me a grabber. Send me one. I don't know what happened to our old one. I'll take it. Oh, well,
Actually,
like
before, oh, sorry, go on.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we go on to your next boring product,
Yeah.
I just want to first address like all the trending products.
Mm.
And in general, like if you see something on TikTok or if you see something hot, it might look really hot and you might want to jump on. But the fact that you're seeing on TikTok already means that it's probably already too saturated.
Yeah.
Like almost every Chinese supplier's probably jumped on it by then.
Mm-hmm.
And so really that's not the best way to find products to sell.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Like fidget spinners, actually, just since we're on this topic. So Nick
Mm-hmm.
Shackelford, you can look in the archives. I interviewed him, and how he first got his start actually was he was making multi-millions of dollars selling fidget spinners. Um,
My cousin sold fidget spinners and did not make multi-millions, but supported himself for many years selling fidget spinners.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the problem is let's say you get lucky and you make some money,
Yeah.
right? You're like, okay, let's scale this sucker.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you're buying a huge container of this stuff, and then the
Yes.
trend just like suddenly dies,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're stuck with all this inventory. And that's exactly what happened to Nick.
Yeah.
Similar to one of our colleagues, like remember when face masks were huge during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh,
actually bought
yes.
like a couple of containers of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then COVID was over, and I don't know what he did with those two containers of stuff, but whether he filed for bankruptcy or whatnot. So that is the danger.
Yeah, so actually, this just reminded me of a totally different product that my cousin sold fidget spinners. My uncle, his father, so my uncle was very entrepreneurial, but like not in a. See, this is the thing. I think what happens is you listen to podcasts, you go to events, you hear like people like Nick Shackelford. Right now, Nick Shackelford has a wildly successful. I think when I heard him speak this summer, he said it was like $60 million a year, THC based product, right?
Correct.
THC-based products are...
I always joke he's a drug dealer. But
yes, he's a drug dealer. I actually saw not that product, but like a competitor to him, literally in Winn-Dixie a couple weeks ago. Like
really?
It's hit mainstream. My nephew is currently, like as we speak, on a plane. Zach, Seller Summit videographer, he's on a plane to North Carolina to open up. He works for a company called Chronic Guru. They sell THC and CBD products. He's on his way to North Carolina right now to do a grand opening for another one of their physical locations, like blowing up. But the problem is, like, people like Nick, people like Chronic Guru have really set themselves apart. Like Chronic Guru, one of the things, well, one, they hired my nephew, so they're putting out amazing content, right? Their social content is 10 out of 10. Two, they opened physical locations that are bars that sell THC drinks, right? No one else is doing that. So they took an angle on it. So they took a popular product and took an angle that no one was doing. But there's a million people doing this, right? They're just not doing it well. So, you know, that's the problem with the popular stuff. My cousin who did the fidget spinners, his dad, and this is, I want to say probably 20 to 25 years ago, got into selling scrubs, like nursing scrubs.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, and the thing about, so we say don't sell clothing. The thing about scrubs is they only come in like 3 sizes, right? Because they're big. Like, you know, you're not buying scrubs. And nowadays scrubs have changed. But like when he got in this, it was a little bit different. And so he started selling scrubs. And this was when the internet was like more of an eBay. You know, Amazon wasn't a thing. So he was selling scrubs on eBay. Well, then he had the idea. I mean, this is the type of stuff, though, that I feel like this is how you make it, right? He's like, what if I buy a school bus? Right? And I turn the school bus into a shop and I go to nursing schools, dental schools, tech schools, like all these, you know, these health colleges where you go for like 6 months and you get like a nursing tech degree or a vet tech. They all have to wear scrubs, 1 to school and 2 to their work when they get a job. He would pull that bus up to the parking lot with permission, open it up and sell scrubs during the lunch hour. Literally supported their family for probably 10 years. Selling, I mean, like, once again, boring product, right? But, and he, you know, tried to capitalize on the boring product. Like he would, and because he was selling them on eBay as well as in person, he got the feedback in person of people would coming into the school bus to buy the scrubs and saying like, you know, I'm going to go into pediatrics. Do you have any like, you know, bright yellow or bright, like fun colors? So then like, you know, he learned the trends. He started, you know, carrying the stuff that people were requesting, but did this very successfully for probably 10 to 12 years. Once again, super boring product.
Exactly. Hey, just a quick heads up. Tickets for my annual e-commerce conference, the Seller Summit, are now on sale over at sellersummit.com. If you run an e-commerce business selling physical products, this event was built for you. Unlike typical events filled with broad advice and feel-good stories, the Seller Summit is all about real strategies you can actually use. Every speaker I invite is deep in the trenches, running their own store and dealing with the same challenges you face every single day. Now, we keep the event intentionally small, just 200 people, so it stays intimate, and you actually get time to connect, ask questions, and have meaningful conversations. I've sold out every single year for the past 9 years. And if your store is already doing over $250K or $1 million in revenue, we also run a private mastermind with other top sellers in the space. You can learn more and grab your ticket over at sellersummit.com. Now back to the show. One of our friends, Chad Rubin, I'm sure if you guys are in Amazon circles, you've probably heard of him. He runs a company now called Prophecy, which is an Amazon pricing tool. But he actually made most of his money selling filters, vacuum filters and air filters, which is just about as boring as it gets. Like no one's going to do like an unboxing of an air filter, right?
Speaking of air filters, this is a great product because my air conditioner, I have to buy the dumb filters from the air conditioning company because they're like specialized. It's like $200 for 4 filters.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous.
You cannot tell me that filter, like one filter is $50. So how much do you think that filter costs to manufacture? Even if it's like the HEPA amazing, $1 like, or $2 tops. Tops. The biggest cost in that is the size because they're air, you know, house air. So they're big. But vacuum cleaner filters are literally this big.
Yes.
Tiny to ship. Stupid,
And
boring.
I have to get filters. Actually, everyone who has to
Yeah.
get filters for their house, right?
Yes.
But
It's like a
like, I don't
doorknob.
shop around. Like once
No.
I've bought one, I just keep buying the same one, or
Yep.
I just buy a bunch from the same company, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really sticky, and that's why it works.
So this is a good actually this gave me a great idea to test your like to kind of run through the mental test. If your product could be on subscribe and save, that might be a great boring product.
Yeah,
You know, like if you're like, because I'm the same way. Like, there's a couple things that I just want delivered to my house every single month or every 2 months. I don't want to think about it. Like, you know, I shop around probably initially, right? Like, but also did it fit my car or whatever? Like, you know, or not fit my car, fit my air conditioner, fit my vacuum, and then so I have mop heads on subscribe and save because
really.
I have that mop that like it's the bucket, but then the other side of the bucket is the spinner. So it like
Uh huh.
flings the water out. So the mop heads are interchangeable. And because I've had so much construction in my house, you mop like once or twice up the construction
Oh,
dust, the mop head's like dead, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I also have pets. So even if I didn't have the construction, I would probably want a new mop head probably once a month or once every 2 months. So I literally have these things on subscribe and save. Once again, they're the like the stringy mop. They come in a 3-pack. They're shrink wrapped. They're literally like this big. I don't know what they cost. I don't care what they cost. They fit my mop. And so I hit subscribe. I will never unsubscribe from them. I will buy those and I will buy another mop before I stop getting that subscription.
Yeah, there's actually a number of things in my house that are like that, where I actually don't even care about the brand.
Yeah.
Like I literally just go and I find the cheapest version that's compatible with whatever I'm using, and then I just buy it forever.
Yeah.
So your example with the scrubs brought me to like another example that I found through my research, which was this dude who literally just had like a supply of like hard hats and safety goggles.
Mm.
And, those are really common items,
Yeah.
right? But what he did is he actually drove around, and this was in Indiana. He drove around to different construction sites and then just literally talked to the guys and said, "Hey, how much are you paying for this stuff?" Like, and then he just undercut them in price and said, "Hey, I will supply you with all this stuff." And the
Yeah.
fact that he went around door to door
Mm-hmm.
and actually established relationships with the foreman and everything, that's how he got his business. And I think what most people don't realize is that all you need is like a handful of these customers who are going to be buying from you
Yep.
on a repeat basis. And that's enough to easily support yourself and perhaps build a multi-million dollar company. So that guy, he started out doing that. And now he makes tens of millions of dollars supplying all this stuff to all these construction companies in
Yeah.
Indiana. And now he's expanding to a whole bunch of different states.
Yeah, and I'm sure my uncle, had he wanted to like grow this, you know, to like multi areas, like he was really content to just, you know, drive
Yeah.
around the Orlando area. But it got to the point where like the schools expected him to, because a lot of these schools are 6-week and 8-week programs, especially for like the tech state. So for the schools, it was like, this is how we can ensure that our students are following, like they're wearing the scrubs, they're wearing the right stuff, they're like ready to get hired. Like they were like, are you coming? Are you coming this Tuesday? Like they were like I mean, isn't it nice to have someone chasing you to sell your products, right? Like, are you going to
Yeah.
be here? You know, once he had those relationships, and then of course all these schools, all the administrators, they all know they all know each other. So it's like people would find out that like, oh, they're going to this, you know, technical college. Like, can you come to our can you get us in the calendar, right? Like, you don't even have to really advertise yourself once you get in the process.
I mean, there's something to be said about actually going in person and talking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, like people who sign up for my class these days, and I'm kind of generalizing here, but they all want to do something on the down low, like just throw some money at an ad and then
Yeah.
just get sales and never have to talk to anyone, never have to do anything, just ship products.
Yeah.
But and I feel like the majority of people are like that. So
Yeah.
if you're actually willing to go around and talk to
Mm-hmm.
people, and again, word of mouth is something that is not talked about enough, just even in e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're willing to build these relationships, like I said, all you need is a couple of these subscription guys to make a living,
Yeah.
and word of mouth will spread after that. In fact, that is when we were talking about like the senior aid niche,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly how they got started also. So I think their backstory was they were physical therapists and they were helping out like the
Mm-hmm.
elderly, and they couldn't find any of these products. So they found them, or they had them made, and then they just used them in their own as part of their own job in the beginning. And then people started asking about it. And that's when they
Yeah.
started, you know, buying in bulk and supplying. And they started out, within their own area at first, and that expanded via word of mouth.
Yeah. So this is going to sound absolutely crazy, but I'm staring at a product in my office right now that I was like, ooh, this is a really important product, but it has a problem. Okay. So across from me, I won't get up and get it. I have a Pilates ball. Pilates, however you say it. And it's a rubber ball that's like this, it's basically the size of a basketball, and you use it for Pilates work. And I'm like, that's a super boring product. It came in this like shrink back. To get that thing blown up and open was such a pain in the butt. But like, once again, it fits all the criteria, right? Easy to ship, small, lightweight, doesn't take up a lot of space. If you sell on Amazon, it's small in the container sort of thing. The problem is every influencer in the world does Pilates, right? So they all want to talk about the ball. Right. They all want to, so when I went to buy this ball, there were literally, I don't even know how many listings there were on Amazon. So what did I do? I looked for the one with the price and reviews, right? I was like, 27,000 reviews, 4.7 stars. That's the one I'm buying. Does it have a color I like? Sure. Like clearly there was no brand loyalty. No, it was all about price and like reliability basically. Right. So any product that you think is like in the influencer market, which is like any fitness, because I also have one of those foam rollers, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, once again, every influencer is doing the foam roller at the gym, right? Like, and once again, probably an easy product to sell, super cheap to manufacture, all that stuff. You want to find the products where the influencers aren't going to be talking about you. So who isn't an influencer? An old person. Who isn't an influencer?
Yes.
A construction person. Who isn't an influencer? A plumber, right? Like those are the products where you're like, this isn't going to take over. And I hate to say, like, you want to find a product that's not going to go viral on TikTok, but you kind of do, because
yes,
the virality is up, and then it's a big crash, and you have a carton full of foam rollers that you can't get rid of because everyone else is undercutting you on price, especially the Chinese sellers.
I would almost argue that if you see an influencer pushing something anywhere on TikTok, that's going to be a really hard thing to sell.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
And it's for me at least, there's like an ego component to it. Like, most people want to sell the sexy products.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm an engineer or former engineer. I actually want to go back to work right now and work in tech because AI is sexy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But if you look at the level of competition across all the AI companies, it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're this other guy, like maybe Intuit and TurboTax, I'm thinking like that's like a boring product that just mints money every single year.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So another, this has got a little more competition. So I'm not saying to go into this, but I think it's another fit is reading glasses.
Yes, actually, there's an acquaintance, and remember I bought those for you a while back.
Yes,
they were part of a keychain. So there's just reading.
I still have them.
They're for people like me who refuse to wear reading glasses, but need them at a restaurant or something.
Yes, because your arm isn't long enough to hold the menu anymore.
Yes, exactly. Well, these days I actually take a photo on my phone and then pinch to zoom. But there are these reading glasses on a keychain. It's actually a former student selling those, and again, that's like a spin on a product that affects like anyone over the age of 40. Yes.
So our friend Chris Cody, who we were just talking about him before we started recording, he bought an eyeglass company a couple years ago, and the interesting thing for him is he's trying to differentiate himself. I think it's a good. I wouldn't say it's saturated. I probably wouldn't do it today, but he's trying to figure out the angles, right? Like, how do you find something that's, going to set him apart? So one of the things that he did was he targets people with, this is going to sound crazy, with fat heads. Right?
Interesting.
Because
like wide heads? Or?
Yes. So basically like reading glasses, right? They all come in basically the same size, right? Like this part of a glasses, I mean, these are flexible, obviously. So if your head is smaller or larger, it'll fit on your head most comfortably. But there are people who have larger than normal heads. And this isn't like a small group of the population. This is a pretty big segment of people, right? So he has created a line of eyewear for people that have wider heads. I call them fat heads. Him and I, because I used to do his email, so we used to joke. I'm like, do you want the fat head segment of people? And so basically, because I will say, like, as someone who wears glasses a lot of the time, like, I don't like stuff pushing up against my temples. Like, it's uncomfortable. Right. So if you have a larger sized head and you just go buy a pair of reading glasses at Target or CVS, they're probably going to be uncomfortable for you. So he has created a standard product that's better, right, for a certain group of people. And it's enough people to keep you in business, right? There's enough fatheads to keep you.
You know what this reminds me of? You know those gigantic sunglasses that are like, I'm picturing his reading glasses like that big. But yeah, that's a good niche, and that's easily like a 7-figure niche right there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, it's those types of things that I think like people like. Who's ever going to be like, yeah, let's go after the large-headed community, right? Like it's not a thing.
So that's just like Brandon Eli's product.
Yes, same
a friend of ours. He sells oversized shoes.
Yeah,
like basically for people like Shaq.
Yeah.
And so
my brother.
Yeah, and your brother, right?
Yeah.
I think his sizes start at like 16 and go all the way up to like 20 something.
Yeah, 23 or 24.
Because you can't find those sizes in stores. And so, and he's carved out, like he's been in business for like 20 years.
Yeah, a really long time. Yeah, that's another, I mean, it's the same thing though, like a small niche of people. But once again, what does everybody have to have? Shoes. Right. I think it's that component of like, what are certain things that everybody has to buy? And also what's great about shoes is they wear out. Like most people, if they're wearing shoes, like if you have a pair of shoes that you wear regularly, right? Like once every day or, 5 times a week, they're going to last you maybe a year or two, and then even if they're great shoes, like if you're wearing them all the time, they're not going to be, I have another really interesting one.
Oh, you do? Okay, I'll let you go.
Okay, this is one that I feel like is not, doesn't fit as much of the criteria. I always like to sell small products, right? Like I sold jewelry. I like the tiniest things possible. But this is one that I do feel like is a pretty boring product, is mailboxes.
Yes, actually.
Right? Like
yeah,
totally
I like
boring.
that.
Yeah, mailboxes, because most people have a mailbox, right? Like I mean. And most people at some point, I mean, on my mailbox, one of my kids checked the mail. They're like, that mailbox is hanging on for dear life. Like my mailbox is really old, and it's literally like you open the door and the thing goes down, and then you close the door. Like it's barely attached to the thing. It's rusted out. Like I'm like, I need a new mailbox. Like once again, boring, easy.
Yeah.
Everyone has to buy one, and they don't last forever.
So I don't know if I ever told you this story, but my cousin-in-law, he's like really into cars, and he was on the forums one day, and he likes Jeeps, and he discovered that everyone was just complaining about like the tweeters going out, and these are like old school like Wranglers and Cherokees. He did some off-roading also.
Yeah.
And so all he did is he just sourced some of these tweeters from China, pennies on the dollar. And the markups, if you take it back to the dealer, are super high.
Right.
So he just made it like 50% off the dealer, which was still like a 10x profit. And he went back on those forums and he said, oh yeah, the fix for this is easy. This is what I did. You can pick up these kits right here. And he pointed to his own site, of course.
Yes.
And for like the next, I want to say 5 years, that product was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Something stupid. Again, no one's ever going to like advertise these things. You're never going to see it on TikTok, but it's like a silent product that just made a ton of money.
Yeah. So I have one that is not, this is not a good product anymore, but the category is correct because Ring camera has ruined this product. However, my former brother-in-law, when he was in college, he was looking for ways to earn money. And so he went and bought like wholesale the peephole, right, that goes in your door. And this is, of course, like in the, I would say like late 80s, early 90s. This is a long time ago. And he bought these peepholes for like, I don't remember what he sold them for. Like he bought them for like $2 or $3, right? And he would just go around his college town and he would knock on people's doors, right, that didn't have peepholes. And they would like answer the door. And he would, when they'd answer the door, he'd say, hi, my name is so-and-so. How did you know that you should answer the door for me? Right. And he's like, for $20, I can install this in your front door in 5 minutes. Right. So he would like have the drill, like the, drill bit, everything you needed. Literally, they're super easy to install. And he would basically supported himself in college selling peepholes.
Amazing.
Right. But like, once again, obviously now with the Ring camera, that's not as relevant anymore. Like, I'm sure young people are like, what's a peephole? But same thing, like, once again, super boring. found a great angle for a boring product, right? Like when also knocking on doors, interacting with customers. So that's a whole nother thing. But, anything like that. I mean, like he told me that like story like 25 years ago. And I was like, that is the greatest idea I've ever heard. Like that is so smart. Like,
There's this trend with a lot of these products. So I found this one guy who makes at his peak $119 million a year selling ink and toner, right?
yes,
Because, it's really
yes.
expensive. But this guy in his college dorm room, he was like, I'm not paying for those refills. And what he ended up doing was, he would just drill into the existing toner cartridge and just refill the toner and
Refill
put it
it.
back in. And what he ended up doing, he's like, okay, maybe this is like a business. So he actually went around to first his like friend's
Mm-hmm.
place of employment,
Yeah.
and he actually found the boss and was like, hey, how much are you spending on toner? I can fill these for you at like a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
And then it just spread from there.
Yeah.
But it started because he just kind of went to a business and said, hey, I can have your toner costs.
Yeah. It's amazing how many things that if you're just willing to do a little bit of legwork, like you're just like and I mean, I get the anonymous selling. Like I understand why that's appealing to people, but if you can create a business where you're not having to run ads and drive a significant amount of your revenue from ads, like, because it's like, I think about this because obviously I live in a construction world. They're like Dickies pants are like the pants for most people who work in labor blue collar type jobs, right? Like they're like one of the staple brands. There's other brands too, but they're one of the main brands, right? And they sell blue pants and black pants or something like that, right? Like they have like a very limited, maybe they sell khaki too, but like very limited selection, very specific, very durable pants, right? Like they're made to stand up to like construction level work. But like, and I know they do run ads and things like that, but it's like they set themselves apart as like, if you work in construction, you need to wear our pants, right? So like when you get it, and it's the same thing with like steel-toed boots, right? There's a couple like major brands, and it's like I have a son that's getting ready to go into a trade, and so it's like he's going to buy the brand that everybody in his trade is using, right? Like he is going to buy the Dickies pants, the steel-toed boots. Like he's going to have those products, like, because that's the industry standard, right? But they didn't get there from ads. They got there from going to the construction sites, like your friend, and like, hey, what hard hat do you want to wear? Like, what's the pros and cons? Like, what do you need? And then they become like, I'm sure Dickies is like a multi-million billion-dollar company at this point,
That actually, I just thought of our good friend Brett Haney.
Yes, I was thinking about him earlier.
He sells microfiber towels.
Yeah.
Boring as no offense,
Yeah.
Brett, if you're listening to this. I don't know if you listen to the podcast anymore.
Your microfiber is the best.
But boring as hell, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally just like towels.
Yeah.
And so I know he does very well,
Yes.
right? I don't know how I should have him on the pod, actually. I don't really know how he got started with that, but I suspect that it was a similar thing.
Yeah.
He got these towels. He found some businesses that needed them, and he's probably like the supplier for many businesses today.
And I think I had dinner with him several years ago, and when we were having dinner, he was like, "Should I get on TikTok? Should I do?" It was like TikTok was just starting to like really be a thing, and we started talking about like who he sells to, and like one of his big clients are cleaning companies.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's the same thing, right? Like, well, what brand of rags do you use, right? Well, we use this brand. So then the next person, so say you work for a cleaning company and then you leave and you start your own cleaning company, right? Like, so well, we use this for this. Why would we switch, right? Like if you like it, you make a good product. Once again, those cloths do not last forever. I have some, like his cloths are great, but like in general, if you're using a cloth to clean something all the time, eventually it is not a usable cloth anymore.
I think the important thing is like for a lot of these products, you buy them once and like you don't really care. You just want it to solve your problem. You just end up buying the same thing forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a lot of product. I mean, you just have to sit down and think about the stuff that you use all the time. And I'm sure you can find a ton of things that fall into this category.
Yeah, like walk through your own house. Like, what are you using on a regular basis? Like there's so many, and I guess I spend far too much time in Home Depot, but I feel like pretty much 90% of what's sold in Home Depot or Lowe's is like one of these products, right? Now, obviously there are like big manufacturer brands that, own a lot of the market share, but there are products in that are not like completely overtaken by a standard, like it's funny because I was talking to actually Eamon, his wife Shanae.
Yeah.
We were talking, and one of Eamon's, like, this is not one of his goals, so I don't want to misstate this, but he wants to create some sort of drywall product that is not as horrible as drywall is. And if you've ever worked with drywall or had drywall replaced in your home, it is the messiest, worst thing, right? It's like you have to cut a piece. It literally puts dust over every square inch of your house. Like and then to get it, to install it, you've got to tape it, mud it, sand it. It makes, and it's not like, and if you even walk into it, like when it's not installed, you'll knock the corner off of it and it's unusable. Like it's a terrible product, right? But there are like 2 drywall brands, right? So like, it's like, I want to come up with a better version of drywall. I'm like, please, I will buy that, like no questions asked. And I'm sure every contractor is like, yes, come up with a better version of drywall, right? Like,
yeah,
it's, what we currently have is terrible. So like, but once again, it's a product that every single building has drywall, right? Like today, at least, not back in the day, but in 2025 for sure.
So here's another company that I found, like doing my research. It started with this dude who was just buying stuff off of Craigslist, computers and stuff, and then breaking them apart and selling them in pieces. And then that evolved into him just like buying TVs that were broken.
Okay.
Or just like pallets of junk. Like there's like Goodwill, or I don't know about Goodwill, but like these places, they just sell you broken stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to go out and repair it and whatever, it's pennies on the dollar. So what he discovered was with TVs and appliances, there's a lot of demand for people wanting to fix their own thing. Like, for example, like when my dishwasher broke, I didn't want to buy a new dishwasher. I actually looked for that specific part. So what he started doing was breaking apart all these. He started with TV sets, and he found that he could sell like a piece, like a power board for the TV set, for like 1/3 of the cost of the entire TV. And people didn't want to buy the TV, right? They didn't want to buy a working TV. They just wanted that one part. And so that he created it's an 8-figure business now doing exactly that. And he covers a wide variety of TVs and appliances mainly.
Yeah. Okay. I want to wrap this this session up with an example from my brother.
Okay.
Because I think this might be one of the most ingenious, boring products. And this is unfortunately not a scalable thing, but it just shows you there's opportunity everywhere. So my brother and I don't know if I think I've talked about this. We used to sell on eBay. We used to be eBay power sellers, not with each other, but like separately we would do eBay. And he's a sound engineer. So he would always, like, same thing like you're saying, he would buy broken TVs. He'd sell parts, like just if, when he'd see him at yard sales or, Goodwill, things like that, not at scale. So he was on his way to a wedding and he stopped at a yard sale because, Saturdays, that's the day you yard sale. And he walked into this, garage, and the person had passed away, so the wife was selling everything. And honestly, if you're a yard seller, these are the types of yard sales where the spouse is selling off stuff and they don't know the value of what they're selling because they just want to, like, and it's not like sentimental stuff. It's like, oh, this was his collection of XYZ.
Right.
So this guy's job was he repaired electronics. He was electronics repairman of older electronic products. So in his garage, he had, I would say, probably 10,000 repair manuals for products that aren't manufactured anymore, right? So old stereos, old record players, vintage stuff that people love and want to have, right? Like classic collector items. And also things that you cannot find on the internet, right? Like nowadays, if you buy a dishwasher, your manual's on the internet, right? But if you have a record player from 1960, that manual is nowhere to be found. So my brother bought the entire garage from this lady for $3,000, right? And he's like, I have to get to a wedding. Can I come pick up the garage can I get a U-Haul and come? Because he literally bought every single, like, in it was the manuals and also like electronics, whatever. So he basically piecemealed all the electronics and he's like, what am I going to do with these, thousands of manuals? So he had the idea to scan them and create PDFs for every manual. And he sold those manuals on eBay for years. Right?
Wow.
Because if you had the product and you needed it repaired and you didn't have the manual, you could not access that manual anywhere. Like he owned all of this, right? Basically. I don't know how many thousands of dollars he made, but I think he sold manuals for probably 5 to 7 years on eBay.
Ingenious.
So it's like, but once again, it's like your friend with the electronics, finding these niche items, right? These things that like if there's a demand, people will pay, they'll pay a lot of money, right? Like if you don't, and that's the thing, like if you have a part to something that you need, another one of my family members sold parts to old tools. So if you had an old saw, they don't manufacture it anymore. He would buy old tools that, once again, yard sales, estate sales, and he would just catalog all the parts. He had a whole store of antique parts, right? Supported himself and his wife for probably 25 years selling old parts. Like, once again, these are not like multi-billion-dollar businesses but they are businesses that will support you, that you can retire with. And you're actually providing a really great service to people.
So that example, they
Yeah.
make 8 figures, so tens of millions. So it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a hobby either. Like you can
Right.
expand this
Yeah.
however you want. But yeah, easily at a minimum, it can easily support yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope
I'm
after
excited.
listening to
I'm
this,
going to go find a boring product. I'm
that's
ready.
what I was gonna say. I hope after listening to this, you guys are inspired because stop chasing the trendy stuff.
Yeah.
By the time it's trendy, that ship has sailed. But with boring products, what I like about them is that one, people are probably not going to knock you off because they're boring, right?
Yeah.
And two,
They
you
might
get
not even
repeat
know you
business.
exist. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
They don't know
Yes.
you exist. So there's no fear of getting knocked off.
Yes. And actually, those are like the best businesses for me, like the ones that no one knows about, but just
Yeah.
quietly make money because you're under the radar.
Yeah.